Alright, we have reached the semifinals in Monte Carlo, and this video will probably not take very long because we have two semifinals that most people are going to make the same prediction for. But before that, I will talk a little bit about the finals of the three previous tournaments, which were Marrakesh, Houston, and the other one, Bucharest. So did a little bit better here than I did with the semifinals of those tournaments. I got 2 out of 3 of the champions predicted correctly for those three tournaments. Navone defeated Merida in 3 sets, exactly like I predicted. Hodar defeated Trungaletti in straight sets. I thought it would be 3 sets, but he did it in straight sets, but he still won like I predicted. And the one I got wrong, which should have also been correct because the guy, I think he had actually 3 or 4 championship points in the third set. That was Buruchaga, Roman Buruchaga against Tommy Paul. In the Houston final, Buruchaga had 3 or 4 championship points, but he choked. So Tommy Paul won that match 7-5 in the third set, so messed up my prediction there. But anyway, now we're on to Monte Carlo, the first Masters 1000 tournament on clay of the year. And we have semifinals that are not very surprising. I guess there's one player who could be seen as somewhat surprising to make it here, but really not crazy too surprising if you think about it. So that player of course is Valentin Vachereau, who is a Monegasque player, and of course this is a Monte Carlo Masters, even though it is technically in France. It is like on the border of Monaco or something. But I think, but Vachereau, he represents Monaco, and I think he was born in actually this same principality or whatever it is. So this is definitely his home tournament. And he has had a good run here to the semifinals, proving that his run to the Shanghai title at the end of last year, where he won that title out of nowhere, winning his first title when he was ranked outside the top 200. And he has now just broken the top 20 in the live rankings, unbelievably. He makes history pretty much everything he does because his country is not a popular tennis country at all. So he has already pretty much become the greatest tennis player of all time from Monaco. So he's had another great run here in his home. He has reached the semifinals, but his run will end here, of course, because he is playing the world number one Carlos Alcaraz. He will not beat Alcaraz. He will lose in straight sets. I really just can't find enough justification to say that he will even take a set. I mean, he's a solid player, but I don't think there's anything particularly super special about his game. I really think he's just a solid, somewhat consistent player, somewhat decent good ball striking. He's just solid. That's really it. I don't really see anything particularly special. But I do like him. Like, he's a cool guy. But I don't think he will win this match, and as do most people don't think he will win this match. He's a heavy underdog here. Some people may think he will be a little tired because he has had three set matches, I believe. I don't think stamina will actually be too much of an issue for him because after his run in Shanghai, where it was like 80 degrees or maybe more than 80 degrees, it was extremely humid. Players were like throwing up, getting super tired. Sinner had to retire from the tournament. Other players retired as well. But Vachereau, he won that tournament, and I didn't really watch that tournament as was going on, but I didn't see anything where he looked really tired or anything. And he did play multiple 3 set matches in that tournament. So after seeing his run there, I'm convinced that he has very good stamina. So I'm not really concerned about that aspect. I don't think he will actually be that tired. If he wasn't tired in that Shanghai run, then I don't think he's going to be that tired here. But tired or not, he's still going to lose in straight sets. Because let's be honest, this is Alcaraz. Alcaraz the world number one defending champion of this tournament. He just completely destroyed Alexander Bublik 6-3, 6-love. To be fair, Bublik basically gave up after the first set. But still, it's Alcaraz. Nobody really thinks that Vastro is going to beat him. I mean, maybe 10% of people do, but Alcaraz, heavy favorite. I'm going to go with Alcaraz in straight sets. Also, Vastro he just hasn't had nearly as much experience at this level. Of course, he did. He is a Masters 1000 champion, but that is a sample size of one. Apart from that tournament, he hasn't been in, I don't think, any other semifinals in his career. So there's just not really much data here to say that he will perform well in the semifinal and go to the final. We only have that one data point where it's that one crazy tournament he won. That's the only thing past data we have to work with that's saying that he's going to win. Alcaraz, on the other hand, he reaches the final like almost every tournament he plays now, except for Indian Wells and Miami recently. But besides that, he has reached the final in almost pretty much almost every tournament he's playing, except for also Paris, but still most of the tournaments. The last time he lost the semifinal was, of course, Indian Wells against Daniil Medvedev. But besides that, he hasn't lost. I don't think he's lost a semifinal in like over a year, apart from that one semifinal. So I don't think he will lose here. Probably win this match like 6-3, 6-4, something like that. So straight sets for Alcaraz, and the other match is perhaps even more boring. I mean, I wouldn't say the Alcaraz versus Vastro match is boring, but more predictable, I should say. And it's Sinner versus Zverev, and of course, I'm gonna say Sinner in straight sets. Could also be like 6-3, 6-4. I literally just can't say anything other than Sinner in straight sets for this match because Sinner has won 10 sets in a row against Zverev now. He's now defeated him like 5 or 6 times in a row, something like that, or maybe even 7 times. I don't know. So I just can't really say Zverev's gonna win until he actually takes a set, which he hasn't done for the last 10 sets. So how can I possibly say Zverev will suddenly defeat Sinner? Of course, eventually he might win at some point again, but I'm not going to predict that while he's on a 10-set losing streak. The last time he won against Sinner was in 2023, before Sinner started taking the drugs. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding for anybody who gets sensitive about that, as that was a joke. Maybe, half joke. Maybe he was. I don't really care. But Zverev, he has not defeated Sinner since U.S. Open 2023. Since then, he has lost like 5, 6, or 7 straight matches against him, and he will probably lose this other one in straight sets again. And you got to feel for Zverev because now he will have lost in straight sets in all three of the Masters tournaments to Jannik Sinner in the semifinals that have been played this year. And he also lost to Alcaraz in the Australian Open semifinals. So, but that is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good results for Zverev. It's basically only losing to the top 2 players in the world at these big events so far this year. So he's showing really good consistency, but it definitely must be frustrating to keep losing to them. But what more can you ask for than to keep getting your opportunities to play these guys and eventually somewhere you snag a win? So, but I don't think it will be here. I think Zverev loses in straight sets. Also last time he actually has defeated Sinner in Monte Carlo. I think he did in Monte Carlo 2022, and he barely won that. And it was in a third set tiebreak, and that was before Sinner, started, you know. But but if he could barely beat that Sinner, I don't think he'll defeat this 2026 Sinner. Yeah, Sinner also defeated him in the first meeting, I believe, which was in Roland Garros in 2020. So, yeah, Sinner in straight sets over Zverev can also be like 6-3, 6-4. So those are my predictions. Predictions probably most people will be Alcaraz in 2, Sinner in 2, and we will get the first Alcaraz versus Sinner final of the year. And I don't know who to root for here actually, because normally I would just root for the player who has fewer Masters so that neither of these players takes Djokovic's Masters record, because of course I am a Djokovic fan, so I don't want him to lose his records and his status as the greatest of all time. So I would normally just root for whichever player has fewer Masters. So currently that player is Sinner, though he's only behind by 1, I believe. So I normally would just root for Sinner, but the thing is, Sinner, he's missing the 3 clay masters. Those are the only masters he has not won. And Alcaraz has, of course, won this Masters title already, which is last year. So if Alcaraz wins, he's closer to breaking. He's closer to getting the Masters record. I mean, he's not close right now, but he makes progress. He makes more progress than to getting that record because he's slightly farther ahead than Sinner. But if Sinner wins, then he's closer to winning all of the Masters titles, which I also don't want anyone to do because that's a record that only Djokovic has. He won all the Masters titles, all the big titles twice. So if Sinner wins this, then he's even closer to winning all the big titles. We don't want that record to go away. So I don't really know who to root for here. I'll probably just watch it and enjoy the match. But yeah, I think we will have the first Alcaraz versus Sinner final here in Monte Carlo. I mean, first Alcaraz versus Sinner final of 2026, of course, here in Monte Carlo on Sunday. I think both of them will win their semifinals in straight sets.